Hello there, LJ back with another one of these cool interviews I get to do. I'm going to be talking with Michelle Thedaker. I hope I say that right, Michelle, as much as I know you and love you. So hopefully she's going to be popping on here soon, and if you'll just hang in there as you join us, if you want to find out how it's gone for Michelle, as she was one of the first people that I got to work with in this great daily yoga experiment we've been doing. So we're going to find out how Michelle's been feeling, what she's been noticing, how she's been using it, how it's been going on the days she did do the practice, on the days that she didn't, and it's going to be fun to hear from her. So let's see if we'll invite her one more time, just in case Facebook needs the prompting. There she is. All right, that's done. All right, I see Michelle watching, so hopefully it'll be easy for you to click on here, Michelle. And we're going to find out from Michelle, who I'll say a little bit about you while you're getting on here, Michelle. And message here, Michelle, if you're having trouble getting on, because I can see if you need anything, I can see it here. But yeah, Michelle's someone who has had many years of loving yoga and doing yoga, and has even, I believe, done some things like teacher training. Michelle, there you are. And really loves one of the styles that's called Kundalini yoga that you might have heard of, which I only have some experience with Kundalini yoga, but one of the things I love about Kundalini, in my opinion, in my experience and exposure to it, is that it's one of the traditions that really invites us to look at more of the ways we can practice yoga above and beyond just exercises. Although Kundalini does have an interesting use of exercises in their mat practice, but they also, as I see it, it's the tradition that's also been most likely to include meditation, the power of sound and chanting, and use of visualization, and the awareness of it all as energy. The Kundalini yoga, I think, is where we got a lot of the information about Kundalini energy, right, and an understanding of that and how it's all an energy practice. So I love that. And so, as usual, it was an honor, and has been an honor, to work with Michelle in just adding to her yoga life, because she already has her own practices that she does to make her the wonderful, amazing, creative, open-hearted person that she is. Let's see, maybe Michelle, I'll invite you one more time just in case. Oh, it already thinks you're invited, so hopefully you can get on here. Let's see. Oh, it's got to be getting close. Maybe at the... Is there a place, I wonder where you click it? Well, we'll see. We'll give it a few more minutes, and if not, then we'll close it up and try another way. I know on my screen I see some little icons at the bottom that have like a little... Let's see if there's anything I can do here. Add viewers. Let's see here. Facebook, we love you. There we go. Cindy's here too. Well, let's see, Michelle, are you on your phone or your computer, I wonder? Because I know some people it's easier to do it on their phone, if that's possible. All right, well, let's see if I can do anything here to make it easier. Well, give it a little more effort. Okay, yeah, maybe there's some reason on some computers it doesn't work. So anyways, so I got to help Michelle really get specific with the mat practice. That was the focus with this yoga experiment. As much as I love to shout to the world that yoga just means to connect or to join or union, and it does not have to include a mat practice at all, this was and has been about the power of a specific personalized daily mat practice and what happens when we add that. So that's what this experiment has been about specifically, even as much as yoga can be lots of things, like even time in our journal, time walking, time in nature, time in community. There's so many ways that we can find connection, find yoga, create yoga for ourselves. And yes, yoga is more of a psychology than anything really. So there's always that awareness I want to spread. And though part of my expertise has been in learning how to personalize a mat practice, which is really appropriate and helpful if we have aches and pains going on, which it seems like most of us do. And the reason for that is because of alignment issues going on, is what I got to learn through some of my specialized postural therapy training, and why I got how I got to learn how to use the exercises in a specific way, in a personalized way, how to sequence the exercises in a way that specifically attends to our alignment, and that it can be really actually done quickly. So I only usually make practices that are about 25 minutes long at the longest, because that it can be done that quickly and that efficiently, and that's about as much time as a lot of us might have for a dailiness on the mat. But for some of us to do even shorter practices is just as huge. So even 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, but more like every day and more like personalized for you. And definitely attending to alignment is the important difference with some of what I've learned and bring in. So as far as like structural alignment, chiropractic alignment, but of course you can see how alignment can also extend into how we feel, and like energetic alignment as well. So all sorts of alignment that we're playing with our practices. And yeah, undeniably our time on the mat is huge. It's helpful, and as much as it feels great to go to group classes and learn new things, I feel like that's a big reason to go to the group classes, and the community that we get and those experiences of yoga and all that we might learn from the teachers. But also for a lot of us, eventually it's really helpful if we're more willing to do it more like every day, something that's specific to us, and something that is personalized so that we're addressing what may be specifically out of alignment for us, or maybe whatever the symptoms may be. So it was cool in this experiment. I got to work with people who had aches and pains like, hips, low back, knees, foot pain, chronic migraines, lots of physical stuff. Also even things with like thyroid issues going on with several of the people who wound up in the experiment. Also just generally wanting to like get on top of immunity. But then also what's so cool about yoga as a therapy is it also helps address things like mentally that we're working with, mood stuff, and addressing it all as energy is one of the most powerful parts of it all. So there's so much we can do with our tuning. And yes, as much as I want to tell you yoga doesn't have to include a mat practice, and it doesn't, but our yoga can really get awesome when we do include the mat practice, and when we do it more like every day and specific stuff for us. So yeah, that's my story. All right, I'm hoping that Michelle, she took Facebook off her phone. Well then I don't know, Michelle, what do you think? Do we need to just find another format, and we'll find another way to interview you soon? You let me know. I'll keep an eye on the messages here. But yeah, I am excited to hear from Michelle and how it's been feeling for her as she fit in the daily mat practice and the days that she didn't. And I know Michelle's someone who's been in a really focused approach with like fitness and health, and even doing things with the company Beach Bodies. So it was really neat for us to know we were building things to only complement and strengthen all of that, and really just make that even better. So, ooh, look, I think she's coming. All right, let's bring her on. Excited to actually see you. You're going to love Michelle. You'll be so glad that you waited. It's adding. She's coming. She's coming.
Yes. Oh my God. There we go. It doesn't like my iPad, I guess.
Thank you so
So
much for working with us. And really, just this is just the second
no problem.
that I've done this two-person thing. So I'm learning too, but it's just kind of fun. It's a way to share. So thank you and welcome. This is Michelle.
Thank you.
I say
Yay!
your last name and I say Thedaker.
It's Thedaker.
Thedaker. See, I had a sense something was telling me to
Yep.
clarify. Thedaker. Yes. So, and I love
Yep.
your colors and like your throat chakra shirt there with like, yeah,
Oh, I
and
know. It totally is, isn't
the colorful hair.
it?
The expression, I would say,
Yes, that,
it's the yoga, like you connecting with you. I love how you and I both have watched each other do that these last few years, right? With all of our connecting practice,
definitely.
kind of like letting ourselves out more and, finding out what that means,
Yeah.
even as that's been intense, right, for us, both as humans too. So, um,
Oh, yeah,
yes, so I'm so thankful to have
definitely.
journeyed
In
with
fact,
you.
it's,
Go ahead. Yeah.
sorry. And it's cutting kind of in and
Oh,
out.
okay.
I, I think we're both so enthusiastic and we both
Oh,
want to talk at the
it's an
same time.
energy thing.
um, it's interesting that you bring up at the very beginning here, well, the beginning of when I finally was able to join, about how the yoga practice really introduces us more to ourselves,
Mm,
that we become more aware, more in tune with who we are in that moment
mm,
and what's going on with us in a in that moment and in the big picture. um, and something that I thought was really cool so far that I wanted to be sure and share with you today was, um, I love yoga. I mean, I've been doing it since, really, I got really, really interested in it when I was pregnant with Andrew, who's now 18.
yeah.
Um, and I started the prenatal yoga video that, um, oh my gosh, my brain isn't working
Oh,
today. I can't think of her name, but she's
Gurmukh?
one of the big Kundalini
Is it the Gurmukh
teachers.
videos?
Yes, it's Gurmukh.
Yes, I did
Thank you.
some of those too with my pregnancies. I learned from
Yep.
her. Oh,
And and that's really how I got introduced to Kundalini as well, and just fell in love with the Kundalini.
mm,
Um, so here's like an interesting aha moment that I had actually just this morning,
ooh,
and it was a combination of the daily practice that I'm doing and the meditation that I actually had slacked on for a while, and then have recently got back into doing. And you and I think, do meditation very similarly in the way that Kyle Cease talks about, which is just sitting comfortably wherever you are and just being quietly with yourself
yeah,
and letting your mind do what it's going to do and just being present
yeah,
for whatever,
yeah.
and not trying to quiet the voices or instruct the voices, or the voices. I sound like I have schizophrenia. You know what I mean by voices. Your own internal voice.
Uh-huh.
um sure I do. No. um so I've been doing that. And here's the thing, I have not done the yoga practice every day.
Hmm, hmm.
And I think that's, we all kind of slack off, or things come up, or the schedule just doesn't align the way that we think it's going to, and then we go, oh well, I'll do it in a little bit, and then in a little bit it's 4:30 and
Yeah.
people are home and it's not going to happen. But I've noticed that I kind of um, actively avoided it a lot of the time. And I've been wondering why that is. And yoga is not the only thing I do that with.
Right, right.
Specifically,
Mm.
things that I love to do, I truly do love, I actively avoid. Now, why is that?
Yeah,
And so that's been, rolling around in my head.
yeah.
And an aha moment I had this morning was that I often actively avoid or even completely walk away from
Mm.
things that I truly, truly love because of fear.
Ah,
Fear that I will somehow screw it up or won't live up to my expectations. And this is all subconscious. It's not something that I think about in the moments that I'm avoiding them. I walked away from music when I graduated from high school, and music was my life. And I remember saying to people who said, why in the world are you not pursuing your music into college and into a career? And I said, oh, well, I don't want to make it a job and like lose my love for it. Well, I ended up walking away from it 100% completely. Like I didn't hardly do anything musical. This is a pattern that I didn't realize I had until I was able to look at it from the perspective of the age that I am now at 46. I think that there's a lot of wisdom, and the people who are 60 are laughing at us, but but there's a lot of wisdom that comes, I think, for women in your 40s that we didn't have when we were younger. And do you notice that with yourself?
oh yeah, I definitely don't wish I could go back to the awareness I was in my 20s, or my 30s,
No.
or even last.
I wish I had, I wish I had this awareness in that body.
Right. Yeah, and that's where I love the yoga possibilities, what's possible for us. But
oh yeah,
I think that's so amazing that the value of what we learn about ourselves through these practices, right? And even in our relationship with the practices, right? And then I could see that maybe part of what strengthens us is when we get to bring in like our non-judgment, maybe in some of our like aiming towards self-love, helps us to be more willing to look at that stuff, and then maybe even choose something
absolutely
and be like, oh wait, now that I'm more aware, like, oh, I want to do the things that I love. But that's so powerful, right? We're seeing it's about what we're doing in our day-to-day, what we love, and even like in our life and what we're bringing to the world, what we love, right? So there's so much.
Absolutely.
So you can see how it's a system of psychology more than anything that we're doing here, right?
It really is. It's I think that is one of the things that has always pulled me toward yoga, is that it's and yoga in the whole the big picture, the whole picture sense.
Right.
I've never seen yoga as purely a physical exercise. That is a part of it, of course, but it has never been the only part for me. What draws me to yoga so much is that it's wonderful for my body physically, but it also works my mind, my spirit, or my soul, or whatever you want to call that. And helps me have a holistic method of being the truest me that I can be. And that can sometimes feels effortless, and sometimes it feels like you're walking through mud. But it's that I don't know. And I know there are many, many other processes that exist that people use to do that same result. And that's wonderful. And for me, yoga is a beautiful path for that. Even when, as I was just saying, I don't do it or I actively avoid it, that is still not even still, but that's what I was, I think, supposed to learn, or at least one of the things I was supposed to learn in this process that I'm doing with you is, the universe or God, or however you want to say that, said, ooh, here's a really good learning opportunity. It's like, the great homeschooling mom in the sky. Here's a great learning opportunity for you to learn more about who you are, why you act the way you do, and how you can be more true to yourself and more kind, and face those fears that you have. I grew up with wonderful parents, but my mother was ultra critical. From a place of love, she wanted my life to be magical and perfect. And so, she decided that to do that, she would point out everything I was doing wrong so that I could improve. It was from a place of love, for sure. But the unfortunate side effect is that I have a lot of fear about doing anything because I'm afraid I'm going to screw it up. And so I avoid an awful lot. So, this is a theme, it's like that, the idea of spiral learning. And I'm sure, especially as a homeschooling mom, that you have encountered that theory before, learning, it's not just cyclical, it's spiral. And, every time you move up another level on the spiral, you hit the same topics or the same things that you're dealing with or whatever again, but just at a different level, at a different angle, a different perspective, with different resources, different wisdom. And so this is one that I've been revisiting a lot. And yeah, doing this yoga experiment has just brought me back in that spiral to that spot to say, let's look at this in another way. And I'm so grateful.
Yeah, and to have a chance to love yourself through it differently, right? And one of the things you mentioned with what you saw, maybe you got from the way you were parented, which I think most people think that's the way to parent, right? Is to be on the critical side helpfully. But I think then we turn into that with ourselves, right? Then we think it's our job to always be looking at ourselves critically to make sure we, in a way of thinking like we're being responsible or we're being even, just paying attention to how we're using our attention, which is such a yoga thing, right? But judgment that can come in. It can be such a spiral, speaking of spirals, that leads us into just feeling terrible and being, becoming really even stagnant with our projects and passions and how much that plays into our health and life and moods, right? And so it's amazing, like the work that we can do with these practices, right? Whether it's on the mat.
Huge.
You're also someone who really uses like journaling. Is that right? Is that one of the practices?
Huge. Journaling is a big thing for me. And I go back and forth between handwritten and doing it on my laptop. My brain, which surprises no one who knows me, runs 1,000 miles an hour, which is why I talk so fast. And I'm always like, oh. I swear I only have 1 cup of coffee a day, people. I swear this is just naturally me.
Lots of energy, right?
I have a lot of energy. And so sometimes doing it on the computer, it actually helps a lot because I can type very, very quickly and I can kind of keep up with my own head a little bit better that way. But handwriting can also be a very reflective process as well. So I recommend trying both and seeing, what suits. Here's something you have taught me, and I don't know if you know that you taught this, but I use it all the time. Where are you today? And you say that actually in, I've done 2 sessions with you of private practice and setting up a customized practice for me, which, by the way, everybody, seriously, talk to Laura Jane, let her do that for you. It is the most beautiful, wonderful thing ever. Okay. I recommend it to everybody. So anyway, but in the audio that you guide, me through the practice with, you say, go into this pose and, you're giving the details and you say, and just see, where you are today with this. And I have taken that and put it into so many situations outside of being on the mat. Where am I today? And that's not it, and it's non-judgmental, right? The non-judgment. This is where I am today. Oh, I'm not doing as well with this today as I did yesterday. That's okay. That's where I am today. And so maybe I'm, needing to write in a journal today. Maybe I'm needing to journal on my laptop today. And that's not so much a good or better thing, but that's just a more, where am I today? What feels good to me today? And that has been really powerful for me. And so thank you for that. And obviously very powerful on the mat too.
But it's
and you go, okay,
is that symbolic place to do all those things, right? And I do love to share that nowadays whenever I get to share about yoga. First of all, that any of these things can be a place to do that, right? So even when you're journaling, you can be doing it when you're watching, and that's what can make any of it yoga. But yeah, it's so cool to know that our time on the mat too is this like symbolic practice that's meant to carry right into life, right? And
absolutely,
like inner lifestyle. That's where I finally wrapped my brain around, like, what do we mean by yoga lifestyle? And I'm like, well, this is about how living from the inside out, and to live from that place of being more connected to ourselves, more ready to check in and see how we are doing, and ready work with
Right.
that and honor that, and then also shift and change that, right? I always admit I love that part,
Exactly.
but you don't have to just leave it, right? That's part of the yoga,
Of
right? Is
course.
then you can,
Well, and
oh, and now I'm going to kind of focus on what I do want, and maybe, take those actions,
mhm.
whatever it may be.
And that's how life works.
Yeah, right. So it's like,
You know, we're always evolving, always changing, always growing, or we should be,
yeah,
if we want to be healthy.
right, right.
You know.
And to be willing to build it in. So, and I think you and I resonate on the idea of how mornings are important, especially as moms, right? And like building
Yes.
in some of those staple practices we've decided are important for how we want to. So
Absolutely.
what's kind of your current little regimen of what you would call your tuning practices, as
You know, usually I am not a super
yeah,
early
yeah,
morning person. So, you know, both kids are now, we're not homeschooling anymore. So both kids are going to programs outside of the home.
yeah.
And so Drew gets on his bus at 7
Huh?
to go to his program that he's doing now, an adult transition program that
Mhm.
he's doing. And then I take Josh to school around 7:45.
Yeah.
And then when I come home, then that's my time to do what I'm going to do for me. Um, as far as
Wow.
journaling,
Yeah.
meditation, I think a lot of people look at yoga sometimes and go, "Oh, but I have this religious stuff that
Uh,
I believe in, and I don't think the two mesh." They really can, and they really do.
yeah.
I absolutely bring prayer and that sort of thing into
Yeah.
it. It can be a devotional practice as well.
I think
It's a
it's
connection.
supposed to be.
It's a connection with you and you,
Yeah.
and it's a connection with you and God, the universe. However you want to say it. Um, and so I definitely
Yeah.
talk to the powers that be during this whole process,
So really
in the morning, and
yoga, right?
it really sets me up.
Mhm.
Yeah, it sets me up to be um, productive and at peace with myself, for the rest of the day. In addition to that, being on the mat itself and doing the practices that I'm doing, I do have a lot of problems with my hips, my lower back,
Yeah.
my shoulders and neck, because I'm really well endowed. And that pulls a lot on that part of me.
Yeah.
Um, and being physically aligned and not in pain
Yes.
is
Yeah. So
huge.
you're definitely noticing
You
the
know,
days that you do the short mat practice,
oh
that gets
yeah.
all better. And then,
Oh my gosh, it's amazing.
yeah, go ahead for that first, and then
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say it's like you get out of bed in the
yeah.
morning, especially again, we're talking about that we're both in our 40s,
Mhm.
and your body. However much I feel like I'm 19, my body says no, you're not, and you get out of bed, and it honestly, when I've been doing my mat practice fairly
Yeah.
consistently, and it doesn't even need to be every day, but let's say the majority of the week, 3, 4 times, a week, it's the difference between getting out of bed and feeling like I'm 90
Yeah.
and getting out of bed and being able to just get out of bed
Yeah.
and go to the
Right.
bathroom without like creak,
Yeah.
creak, snap, you know, and you're like hunched over, hobbling to the
Right. Right.
bathroom.
Right. I'll joke with my
It does make a real
yeah,
difference.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
And then again, I really feel like it's so powerful to see the days we don't do it, how we feel. And that's just like helpful to be like, wow, it
Hmm.
really does change how I feel.
Yeah.
Even this
Oh, look at
the
that.
stuff, and we're not doing crazy hardcore, stuff, right?
No.
Like we're a lot of
Uh-uh.
poses with this like therapeutic approach are surprisingly just feel pretty darn good, right? We have some strengthening in there, but and
Yes.
then how it
Yeah.
felt with your workouts that I know you've been adding in as part of the beach bodies thing. When you've done that, do you feel like the body feels better in the workouts too, as far as
Oh yeah.
squats and
Absolutely.
reps don't hurt and things like that? Yeah,
Absolutely, it has a lot to do. It affects in a big way, not only how I physically
yeah,
feel when I do other sorts of
yeah.
exercise. Um, it helps with recovery, definitely.
Hmm.
But the biggest thing that I love about it is that during my mat practice, which again, as you say, it's pretty short. We're talking 15, 20
Yeah.
minutes, and it's not intense.
Hmm.
Um, and it really tunes me into my body.
Hmm.
And then when I go to do these other kinds of exercises, be it strength training or cardio or my Kundalini practice, I am much more in tune with my body,
Yeah.
what my muscles are doing, where am I in space, that proprioceptive
Mhm.
sense that we have, which is where your body is in space, if people don't know what that means. Um, and it's so much more acute,
Mhm.
you know, it's so much more um, alive and aware. Just awareness is so huge.
Yeah.
It's so huge.
Right.
And it definitely makes me much more aware of my body
Mhm.
and where I'm at. And here's kind of an interesting anecdote, and this happened before I was doing this particular experiment with you, but I had worked with you for a while when this happened. My husband goes to kind of like a strongman training gym, and they're lovely there. They're wonderful people. And so I did that for about 10 weeks
Mhm.
just to try it, just to see what it was like. And it was a lot of fun. It wasn't really for me for the long term, but it was fun to do. But something that the trainer there said to me and mentioned many times was, okay, you haven't done this kind of strength training before, but you pick up right away on what I'm asking you to do. When I say stand this way and you're moving this muscle, like
Mhm.
you do it.
Mhm.
And I said, I think my yoga has a lot to do with that, that I'm very in tune with where my body is and what it's doing.
Right.
And not that I was perfect, I don't mean that at all. But I thought that was an interesting observation that she had, and I really attribute that to yoga.
Yeah, which it makes so much sense, and it's so cool that there again, yoga just means connection, or so to feel connected. So you just do notice you feel and are more connected to your
Yeah.
body through the various ways that you're making sure you keep reconnecting with the body, even right, and how the dailiness, being willing to
Yes.
do that, really help.
Yes.
Um, and
Yeah, this isn't a one-shot thing. You don't do it once and then go, "Oh, I'm totally connected to myself." Um, it's a consistent.
yeah,
It needs to be consistent, just like brushing your teeth or anything else. You're going to see a big difference between oh well, yeah, I do yoga once a month,
right,
and I do it several times a
right.
week. There's a big
That's where
difference.
you're so I really have noticed such a momentum for myself, like physically, energy wise, mood wise, when because yeah, some of us know to go give ourselves a class, especially when we're like about to lose it. It's like, oh my God, I need to go to yoga, right? Which is
Right,
awesome that it's
right,
there for that. But it's like, what if you did things more like every day, right? To do get yourself some of that. Imagine, how much better you might feel. And then you can still go to classes, but not so much because it's like, oh my God, I'm gonna
right.
kill someone if I don't. Right?
It's
Yeah.
not a crisis.
Yes, right. You
Yeah,
just do it
it's the
like
difference between
everything, right? Mentally, physically,
yeah,
emotionally, all of it stays a lot less dramatic. Just purely, if you
sure,
see, it's because of the connecting we're doing, right? Much less
yeah.
everywhere we go from there, right?
Yeah, it's being proactive instead of reactive.
Yeah, right.
Um,
Yeah,
is really what it is for me. Is let's take care of a lot of these things up front. And for people who don't know, I have um, I have clinical major depression. Um, and I am on medication
mm-hmm.
for it,
Mm-hmm.
because it gets bad. I get suicidal.
Mm-hmm.
It can be really, really terrible, and I've suffered with it since I was 15. Um, and I came to a really terrible place a couple of years ago where I had let my mental health
Mm-hmm.
go unaddressed
Mm-hmm.
for a while, and I hit a wall and went into crisis mode and ended up needing to go into a crisis therapy situation, which was wonderful, by the way. It was exactly what I needed, and it was very well done, very helpful. But I can tell you from that place of deep hurting that being proactive rather than reactive,
Yes.
huge difference.
Right.
Huge. And I tell you what, yoga does a lot for stabilizing my mental health.
Yeah, I would imagine. I
A
was
lot.
totally feeling like aware of that, and thank you so much for being willing to share that. And I'm excited
Oh,
to
yeah.
share how much these practices, and again, if we just see it as, like you said, with the simplicity of even just the sitting meditation as another version of yoga, right? Like anything we do
Absolutely.
to check in with ourselves, see how we're doing, much less the ways we can beautifully shift that and even shape that,
Mm-hmm.
is like this therapy we get to do to ourselves, for ourselves. And the more that, yeah, and the more that we also
It's free.
personalize it, like for if the journaling really does it for you, do the journaling. If journaling doesn't work for you,
Right.
don't do it. That's where it's so, I think, important to personalize it. And like you said, with the spirituality aspects, if you're a spiritual person, I mean, heaven. Yes, that's what this is supposed to be about. Like, this is your time to
Exactly.
reconnect. So play with that. And even if like reading scripture is your thing, know that that can be part of your yoga if you want to,
Hmm.
right? So
Absolutely.
fun.
It's all about,
Yeah.
like you talk about, it's all about connection.
Yeah, right. To play with
Yeah.
that. And then interesting how the exercises are part of the place to do that, right? That's just like an interesting thing that
Yeah.
maybe yoga brings in, is like bringing in that as another place to do that and showing us how
Hmm.
to let exercises be a time and a place for all that therapy on the inside, right? Much like the
For
physical
sure.
therapy, but the emotional therapy, the energy work we're doing. You're someone, I think you're really tuned into energy and such. I mean, maybe that want to
Hmm.
keep you
Yeah.
too much longer for your schedule, but um, energy wise, what sorts of things do you notice with your use of your practices? I don't know. And I know you're such an
Oh,
artist too. So yeah, anything you want to share about how you
yeah.
practice yourself?
It's so it really is essential in keeping my energy flowing
Mm,
for me. My energy can stagnate
mm,
pretty easily, and I imagine that's not unique to me.
yeah.
Um, and there are things that make that worse, and there are things that make that better. And yoga, meditation, journaling. I do art a lot. I play music. All these sorts of creative things really um, make me lighter, happier. The negative self-talk that a lot of us do gets a lot quieter. My awareness of what I'm doing and saying and how I'm moving through my day gets much, much better. Um, and it's interesting. I'm kind of backtracking a little bit, but it is all definitely connected to the energy idea. When you're on the mat, I think a lot of us in our society right now are very disconnected from ourselves.
Mm,
And we are very connected to the physical world
mm,
because that's so obvious.
yeah.
And we're very connected in a way to our bodies. Yes and no,
Mm,
right? Like we're not really listening,
mm,
but my God, we spend so much time trying to look a certain way and
mm,
dress a certain way and all these sorts of
mm.
things. The physical body is so ever present. I mean, it's you don't get away from you, okay? You walk around in this body all day long forever,
Right.
for the whole your whole life. And so sometimes for me, I find that starting a change for myself physically is a good starting point because I'm so aware on one level, okay, like a base level
Uh,
of my body,
yeah.
right? Um, Sometimes it's a complainy
Right,
level.
right, right.
I hurt, I'm fat, I'm ugly, I'm old, I'm, whatever.
Yeah.
So you start there. And then you do the yoga, you do the mat practice,
Mm,
and you're actually using your body.
mm,
And it's a little easier to tune in on that level because that's where your vibration is, okay? It's kind of like down
yeah.
here with your body because that's what we're used to relating to is this physical stuff.
Yeah.
And then your vibration gets to go up, and now you're listening to your body in way more intuitive ways,
Yes.
and now you're able to take that energy, and now and you can get all woo woo and talk about the aura and all that, which I happen to believe, but you don't have to subscribe to that idea. But your energy starts to, or your awareness, however you want to say it, goes beyond
Yeah.
your body.
Yeah.
And now you're thinking about your energy in all kinds of places and how you relate to people, relationships, huge.
Yeah.
How you perform in your work, how you process the news. I mean, let's be real.
Right. Right.
The world is a vortex of crazy,
Yeah. Right. Right. Right.
especially right now.
Yeah. And I feel like really thankful to be rooted in my connecting practices and, surrounding myself with people who want to feel more connected, because it's almost like a more connected perspective is what can help you, like whatever that means for you.
Yes.
And whatever
Yes.
that means, so yeah,
Exactly.
it
Yeah.
really pays
So
off, doesn't it?
definitely.
Up on our connection, and then all that we can do, and even shift with our, like how we are with ourselves, much less how we're allowing that energy, right? Within the
Mm-hmm.
practices, yeah, that all of the practices is a
Mm-hmm.
place to look at that and keep shifting that and all that good that comes from there, right?
Absolutely. So yeah, I just overall for me, yoga has and not just mat practice, but certainly mat practice, um, has been a wonderful vehicle, a very accessible
Yes,
vehicle
yes,
for me to use in feeling better, moving throughout my day better. It's really this holistic betterment for myself. And, I do it right here in my bedroom.
yeah,
It's free.
yeah,
It can be intricate or
yeah.
not. Some days I just do the 15, 20-minute basic things. Some days I like do a whole Kundalini practice with it and it can get really involved and there's chanting and,
Hmm.
that's when the rest of my family's like, Mom's doing her thing. And
But that's cool
but it doesn't
too,
have to be that.
right? They see mom doing her thing and they see how different mom is after she does her thing, right? And you're even like teaching them
Right.
about self-care and that there is a dailiness to it and there is
Yeah.
an intention involved and how
hmm
much differently the family goes, right? When you're feeling better.
Absolutely. And especially, not to get into, gender roles and things like that, but
Yeah,
in our family anyway, I tend to be the hub.
yeah,
Okay, so I'm kind of,
yeah,
if I'm out of it, everything starts to fly apart.
yeah. I remember that
um,
early on in my childbirth education classes about how, and it really is true that if anyone in the family is really out of balance, the whole family feels it, right? But
this is very
for
true.
a lot of families, maybe mom or dad, or maybe in a lot of families more like the female holds that space. So yeah, if mom's out of whack, how in the world is the family? So yeah, I almost jokingly now can see when we have families and stuff. It's like, let me get some yoga to the mom. That's how we're going to infiltrate. Because
Right, exactly.
our family changed so much when I started to do this stuff more like every day. I mean, that's where this all comes from. Because yeah, I can be so full of energy and all sorts of ways my mind can go. I don't want it to go. And yeah, my kids noticed such a difference in me when I started to do the dailiness of the
hmm
starting my days in ways that do that. So that's so
Right.
hell bent on sharing that as an answer, right? For like a way that we can take care of ourselves,
Absolutely.
tune ourselves, and how much it is for everybody else, though, right? That it's not just being selfish and the whole.
Yes.
It's like, because then when you come back out, you're like,
Right.
hello world, right?
Right, exactly. And it's
Got
okay.
this. And anything I pick up or take on, I can deal with my practices and even shed and come back in, right? Like strong.
Exactly. We need to be a little bit selfish. We need to. I think it's incredibly healthy
Yeah.
to be a little bit selfish,
Yeah, right. And
you know.
because, and just maybe we can just kind of bring it towards an end with this, though. But I think you and I are so aware too of how our relationship with self is such the start of it all, right? And so
It
really
is.
is the place to be doing the work and in a loving way, in an
Absolutely.
active way. And if you're ready to do it for yourself a little more, right? That the ways that we can
Sure.
bring it home and simplify it. And then, sure, go out to beautiful retreats and advanced classes and all that. But it also can be
Oh yeah.
about you and you more like every day
hmm
at home, what works for you, right? So that's an exciting
I
place to
think
go with your yoga, right?
it's critical, I think.
Right.
I think it's an essential thing. Yoga is a wonderful vehicle for it. And that's not for everybody and that's okay and people can do other things, but find your vehicle
Yeah.
that connects you with yourself and allows you can't pour from an empty cup. This is one of my huge mantras in my life. You have to fill your own cup first. And for me, that's yoga.
Yeah.
That's yoga and meditation. And I'm so thankful that it exists. So thankful for you in the way that you presented in such an accessible, easy,
Mm.
sweet way. A non-judgmental, non-dogmatic, the way that you present yoga is so inclusive,
Mm.
and so just so accessible. So
Well,
you are a gift.
mm.
You are a gift, my dear.
Well, and I just been blessed to have so many teachers before me that, that I saw, I liked and felt that approach work. So, yeah.
Yeah.
excited to do this. So thank you so much. This was such a rich, wonderful conversation.
Yeah.
Really, yeah.
This was fun. Sorry it took so long.
Sure. No, I'm happy. That's great for me. And I'm seeing about making these things. I think I can record them or save them and then also do it as a YouTube. So they'll be able to be out there.
Mhm.
World. It's just this, let's show the world what's possible with yoga, but even more like
Definitely.
daily personalized uses of it. And I'm so glad we got into more than just mat practice because sure, that's what this experiment was about, but it's also,
Yeah,
about our versions of yoga. So thank you so much. Yeah,
definitely.
so I'll be
You're so
in touch
welcome. Thank
with
you.
you outside of this, but thank you for
Yeah,
today and sending love
you're very welcome.
down to South OC, right?
Yes.
That too, that we're not that far geographically apart, but the video just made it like so easy. It's like, oh, let's just do this
So
from your
nice.
house to mine. So thank you for
Yep.
that. And thank you all for watching and
You're
being here
welcome.
with us.
Yes. Thank you, everybody. Mwah.
All right. Bye.
Bye.